Hello, everyone. How are you? I am going to be checking just real quick to make sure that everything is going okay. And if you guys can hear me, if you could comment below, that would be great. If you're here, I don't see, for some reason, I'm not seeing the people that are here. So if you get a chance to, that would be great. If not, then okay. All right. So I have decided to do something a little bit different because I like mixing things up and I like seeing, what else is possible for the way that I'm teaching, the way that I'm connecting with you guys. And for me, above all, it's really about showing up really whole, like really complete in full power and really feeling really great. So for I started saying this in the I did a Facebook Live right before this, and I started talking to everyone and telling them, hey, I decided to just pretty much freestyle it today and see what comes out of this. Plus, I told them that, I really do get the topics for these events are pretty much delivered to me. I don't really have that much to do. I may do a little bit of tweaking to the words to make them a little bit coherent and exciting and all that stuff. But the topic itself, what I'm going to be talking about, and even what I write about when I do write, is something that just feels perfect and right for this particular thing. And today, the topic that we're going to cover, and the one that was delivered to me, was resolving the conflict standing between you and your 20K month boutique service business. Okay, so let me explain this real quick before I go into, actually, let me just finish the title. So the rest of it is, or how to have a full practice at 10 clients or less, eliminating exhaustive launches, constant hustling for clients, or buying one after another marketing strategy course that you never really use. So what does this all really mean? What does it mean? I've noticed over by now it's been like 4 years that I've been working, one-on-one with clients and really seeing what stands in the way between them. And one of the things that I learned a long time ago, and something that I started paying even closer attention to, is the fact that when things don't flow, it's because there's something in the way. And I like distinguishing the idea of a conflict and separating it from the idea of a block. And there's a reason for that. My main reason is that a block feels very permanent, and conflict is just it's something that can very easily be resolved, right? To remove a block, it feels a little bit more permanent. It feels a little bit harder. Like, how do you actually get rid of it, right? And that's the whole thing, that you actually don't get rid of anything. And that's the problem with blocks, or the way that people actually have the belief and the idea around blocks. The fact that they're seeking to remove it, and there's nothing to be removed. And then, because there's really nothing there, the block is the illusion to begin with, right? But the conflict does exist. And how does it exist? It's the idea that two things are fighting. If you even look at the the word itself, like what does it actually mean? It's two things fighting at the same time for to have, I don't want to say control. It feels more like to have to be victorious at the end, right? So there's two things that are fighting, and one thing will be victorious over another. And if you look at your results right now, which I always tell my people, hey, don't look at anything else. Don't look at your mindset. Don't look at, your emotions. Don't look at any of those things. Like, in order to determine what needs to happen, you look at your results, right? And if you look at your results, you know that the thing that's actually winning right now is the thing that you don't want to win, right? So you have the conflict standing between you and your 20K months, and the thing that's landing on top is the thing that's saying, no, the 20K month is not yet for you, right? So what we're going to do is take a look at what that actually is. What does that look like? Why is it even there? So that you can actually start moving and resolving these conflicts that are standing, that are creating so much chaos in your life right now and in your business. Now, the other thing that you want to hear from what I just said about what the topic is going to be is the fact that I'm talking about the boutique service business. And what does this really mean? Like, I don't know if you're familiar with a boutique business, but boutique business, and some people call it boutique coaching business, but not everybody's a coach, right? Is a business that's centered around private clients. So your service is all about the delivery and the results and the conversion of private clients, right? Or anything that has to do with like small intimate setting. So your jam, as you would say, is all about really working with a select group of individuals and be able to reach whatever income you want, but still be working with a select group of individuals. I know people that are in the $1 million category that are just working with about 10 people a year, right? And they're already making over $1 million, and then adding other boutique style services to what they're already doing. So, for example, small workshops and things like that. So that's the main thing, one of the main things, and that's why I put it in the title, because there's a huge difference when you start adding like a lot of all this other energy to it. And if you're not even past 20K, it is my belief, because I've seen it happen over and over again, where people start with the group programs and the e-courses and all this other stuff, and it doesn't really work for them, or they're seeking to add those things well ahead of the time before they even know themselves well enough, which I already feel that happens when you're really expanding and being able to receive more in your business. So they don't know themselves enough, they don't know their service enough, and that all happens when you're in that intimate setting. You can really understand what works, what doesn't work from people, and it gives you the opportunity to really learn your business and to be comfortable in your business before you start adding a lot of things like big launches and all this other stuff to be able to fill group programs. So that said, let me just do a quick check-in to see who is on. Let's see who's there. Let's see if anybody's there. Oh, I don't think I'm on the right page. If anybody's there and you've commented, I don't see any comments, so I don't know if people are shy today or what is, but I'm going to keep going. Okay. And I'm going to, one of the things that I want to do that's going to be top secret, which I didn't even include it, it's going to be for whoever actually watches this before the end of today. I'm going to be gifting you a process. So I'm going to be taking you through a process that I created for my private clients very recently called immersion. It's one of the steps in immersion. It's not all of it. And if you're here and you're catching this, then you're going to see what this process is and how this can really help you. So let's go into why am I even doing this? So why even talk about the conflict? Why even talk about the boutique business? Why is this so important to me? And it's important to me because I have, like I said before, I've been doing this for about 4 years. And in the very beginning, it wasn't very easy for me. I don't come from a wealthy family. I don't come from, a marketing background. I didn't have any business experience or anything. And it came as a rude awakening to me, I feel, when I started my business, and I had all of these intentions, right? Oh my God, I'm going to do like a group program. I'm going to do, I'm going to put together the launch, and I'm going to prepare all these things and do all this work, and then it's going to work. It has to, because if I'm working hard, if, like the idea that we've been sold, right, is that if we work really, really hard, then things will work out. And I always worked really hard. So I was one of those kids that ever since she was in, kindergarten, I was always getting A's. I was always, beloved by my teachers. I had, I believe I was number 1 in my middle school in Cuba. And I graduated number 3 in my high school, right? And I graduated honor roll. So I had like this like whole belief of working hard. And then I started my business. And for the very first year, I worked really hard, and I was so busy with working 80-hour weeks, 12-hour days. And, I made time for all the other things that were important to me, like my health and my boyfriend and all these other things. But I was still, doing so much. And there were in the first year, I think I got 2 clients. They were high-end clients, which is really great. One was for like $1,500. Another one was for $4,000. And that's it. That's all I got. And then the third year, I the second year, I started with like high-end clients, and then I totally lowered my prices and started going for like, maybe it's cheaper. If it's cheaper, people will actually buy more. And it ended up being not really the truth. And I kept really working hard. I feel what I got out of this is the fact that, towards the end of the second year, I'm like, what am I doing? I feel that we all come to a point where we actually start really looking inside rather than, looking at every single thing that every single person is doing and copying them and all this stuff. I've done everything. So nobody can tell me, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. No, I've done it. I've already done that, and I know what works and what doesn't. And what I realized was that I was choosing the busyness. I was choosing, that other style of business. And I was choosing to lower my prices. And I was choosing to do a telesummit before I was even ready. And I was choosing to do all these things because I didn't really want to look at myself. I really didn't want to pay really close attention to what it was that actually was required in each of those circumstances in order to make it work. And what it was what it ended up being is that really focusing my energy towards very, very, very specific things, and really looking at what are the things that were conflicting, right? Because I had a belief that I could make a lot of money. And then I also had a belief that you had to work really, really, really hard for very little. And I had a belief that, you could get however many clients you want. And then I had the experience of getting 1 or 2 clients a year or something like that. That wasn't really helping me, right? So there were a lot of things that were conflicting, and it wasn't really working. And it wasn't until I started resolving some of those deeper conflicts within myself, which started at the beginning of the 3rd year and went on for about 6 months before I actually had a breakthrough, like a major, major, major breakthrough, which was when I actually started making 10K consistently in my business, right? And then on from there onto the 20K and 40K and all this other stuff. Okay, so I toned it back and actually started seeing, okay, these are my conflicts. And I, from the beginning of the 3rd year, I actually started looking at the ways of resolving these conflicts, right? And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. So let me just take a look real quick. Okay. So let's start with the first, okay? How your current underlying conflict has you driving on the wrong side of the street, blindfolded in a beat-up Geo Prism from 1989. That was my old car. It has 0 oomph. So, when you are in the space of conflict, like I was, for example, so for one of the very clear examples was that I wanted, I very, very deeply desired to make 10K at one point, right? Or even 20K. And my experience wasn't showing me that, or my experience was showing me that I had to work that much harder in order for me to be able to make that much more money. When I worked in corporate, for example, I had to work harder. I had to go into, I had to get a promotion, right? Which meant that I was working more or harder or more specific and specialized things, which require more knowledge, more education, right? It was always more, right? And I didn't realize that the conflict there was that you actually had to do less in order to make more. So for example, the idea of having this is something that I had a potential client once say to me, that she wanted to have a membership site and that she was going to use that membership site to start making 10K consistently in her business. And the membership site would have taken about, I don't know, I think it was something like 700 people for her to be able to even make anywhere near close to 10,000 people. And she was having a hard time even having 1 or 2 clients at the time. So when you look at all of that, it's like the conflict that is actually happening is that there is something that you say that you want and something that you're working towards. It's in complete conflict to what it is that you are actually creating, right? And deeper than that, when you look at, emotional conflicts or value conflicts that people have, and I feel that when it comes to the values, it goes even deeper than everything else. Because if you're looking at someone's underlying values, so for example, saying, I will be, if I make more money, I am going to be a bad mom because I will spoil my kids, for example. That is a huge value conflict for a mom right? That she is using, she's saying that she wants more money. She wants to make 20K a month or whatever. And yet at the same time, her values, the conflict of her ideals and her morals and all this other stuff is telling her, well, if you make more money, then you're going to spoil your kids, and you don't want to spoil your kids, so you don't make money. So you have two things happening here. They're both working towards control of the situation at the same time, and one of them is winning. And it's the one that says, I'm going to be a bad mom, so I don't want to make money. And all you have to do is just look at your results, right? So when you have specific results that they're actually going on, you look at your business and you say, okay, what are my sales for this month? What are my sales for the year? How are things going? Are we moving up? Are we moving down? And you already know that there's something going on there. There's a conflict of interest, right? When people are choosing to go to that 20K month and they're making something around like, 3 to 7K a month, and they're like, oh, 10K doesn't even sound like it's worth it because it just doesn't feel like it, but 20K would be really great, right? So that's the idea. And then at the same time, there's some underlying conflict, right? That's pretty much driving the show. It's the one that's actually driving the show. So what you consciously desire has nothing to do with it, because your results are showing you that there's something else that actually has control of it right now. So the idea here is really looking at, if you look at your beliefs, your emotions, your stories around what it means to have a 20K month, for example, and all of the good and the bad, that you can actually start looking at what are the main driving conflicts. And there's generally one that's deeper, and I'm actually going to talk in the bonus section after I turn off the recording. I'm going to tell you which one is the one that I feel is the most prevalent for women entrepreneurs generally. Okay, so this is what's actually happening. This is the actual structure of a conflict, right? Two things at the same time working towards a goal, right? And consciously you could be working towards a 20K, but then subconsciously there's something else that's actually conflicting it. There's some other type of value or moral or ideal or anything like that that's telling this other one, no, we're not going to do that. So then you end up, having behavior like, sabotaging behavior, or you end up creating circumstances within your life that appear to be out of your control, but happen just in time for you to actually, for things to actually not work out in your favor, right? In the way that you wanted. So, that's number one. So let's move on to number two. So I put here exactly why your conflicts keep coming back and biting you in the ass, stopping every attempt you make towards 20K, even before you get started. Hint, you're living in a 1D world rather than a 3D reality. This one's really fun for me. So why do, say that most people use the word blocks. I really don't like that word because I don't think that it's really makes any sense. But most people look at the conflicts that they have, right? And then they have specific ways that they're going to use to resolve the conflict, right? So there's a lot of people that have, mindset tools that they use. And there's a lot of people that have emotional tools that they use. And then there's a lot of people that have, physical tools. So like action type of tools that they use. And the problem is that when you're looking at a conflict from one angle, so say that you're looking at it just from the physical actions angle, right? So you're saying, oh, I want to make a 20K and it's not working. Let me work on my sales, right? you're looking at the action, right? But you're not looking perhaps at the emotion and the thoughts that are underlying behind that. So you're living in a 1D world when you're just looking at the actions. Depending on like your personality type, so there's some people that are more the more like type A, I guess, like more technology driven and all this other stuff. Like they may look at their actions because that's the place that they tend to, want to fix things, right? And for those particular people, you actually want to go into the emotions and the stories, because those are the places that the things tend to hide for them. And then you have on the other side of that, right, people that are more emotional and spiritual and all these other things, and their main focus, or the place that they always go to, is like, oh, let me go get a healing, let me go do some tapping or something like that, right? Which is more dealing with emotions. And they completely neglect their thoughts. So their thoughts are still there, or they may deal with the thoughts, but they may neglect their actions, right? So they feel like, oh, well, if my emotions, everything is great with my emotions, then everything else will be okay. And you see where this is going, right? So it doesn't matter. Like when you're actually living in a 1D world, you're still going to have the things coming back, because you're not addressing it on a 3D reality, which is the truth. Like you have three different places to encompass the whole, the body, mind, and soul. Body generally means actions, right? Mind means the thoughts, and then soul means the emotions, which is the subconscious mind, right? That's the emotional mind. So you have all of those places that you need to look at in order to actually, look at the problem as a whole, right? Look at the cause of the problem, right? And looking at all of the aspects of the problem rather than just looking at one part of it, which is why your conflicts keep coming back. And no matter what you do, whatever attempt you may make to actually move forward, you're still getting stuck and you're still coming back to the same. Okay, so that's generally the piece there. It's so important. It's so fundamentally important that you actually take a look at like the different aspects of this. One of the reasons why I'm no longer looking at, I no longer prescribe to the belief that mindset, if you just work on your mindset, it works. If you just work on healing, it works. If you just work on your emotions, it works. Or if you just take like a marketing course or something like that, it will just work, because it's not really treating the problem with full respect, right? And that means really looking at it for what it is and not what you think that it is, right? Problems are 3-dimensional. Those are the three elements, which is why I actually work with my clients on immersion, which is addressing the emotional side, the thoughts side, and also the action side, like all of it together, right? A full immersion that actually creates the desired result. Okay, so let's go into the next one, which is how to take your focus from ever-changing marketing strategies and never work for you, and focus on the only one and most successful strategy that is consistent as the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. That was a tongue twister. So going back to the idea of buying different courses and doing different things, and addressing one of the aspects, this is another level to that. So as business owners, we're always looking for a way to not just make the sale, because, obviously, you want to make the income and all this other stuff. We have to live. But at the same time, you also want to, you want to be able to serve more people, right? Serve more of the right people, right? We've all had that experience of like the client that we don't really like, that doesn't appreciate us, that, is not willing to pay, or doesn't like you, or whatever the situation is, right? We've all had those people, right? And it doesn't tend to be very, very good experience. And I feel that a lot of the time that has to do because part of what we're using as a way to attract people to us is not really compatible with who we are, right? And I don't want to get into like which marketing strategies are good and which are not, because it really is individualized. There's some people that could completely thrive on some place like Pinterest. I wouldn't have like the smallest clue as to what do you do in Pinterest to get clients. And then there are some people that work best on video, and there are some people that just with copy, like copy is more than enough to get themselves the clients that they want, right? However, all of those things tend to, if you're just looking at the action aspect of it, all of those things tend to be just fleeting strategies. So Facebook is a fleeting strategy. Speaking can even be a fleeting strategy, because there's like a million ways to speak. I've learned speaking on meetup groups. There are people that have been teaching how to do the big events, and there's some people that just speak on a teleseminar like I'm doing right now with you. There are all different types of speaking techniques. So, and every single one of those tends to be popular at one point and then not at the other. There's a lot of people that don't even do those big events anymore because they're not as successful for them as they were at one point. However, there's only one marketing strategy, only one, that will work and will continue to work, and that is you. Okay, so I've talked about this before, and I'm going to say it again because this is really important and I really need you to hear me, okay? This is the only marketing strategy that you can actually go into any of the other things that you could be doing and be successful. You can literally have a post on Facebook. I've done this so many times. You can literally have a post on Facebook and get a client the very next day, right? From just one post, because of who you are being, okay? Being encompasses everything. So it's not just your emotions, and it's not just your actions, and it's not just your thoughts, right? It's all of it. It's you being in immersion of who you really are, right? Immersion equals being, who you're being. And that's the only marketing strategy that you can go into any crowded room and literally attract your clients to you, because people will always be wondering, who the hell is that, right? When you're showing up as you, not as someone else, right? When you're showing up as the true you, as who you really are meant to be, that is very attractive. I'm not saying that you don't need other strategies. I have strategies that I use, but that will never be my main strategy. Okay, so posting on Facebook, for example, I've taught this to many clients. Many clients have made thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars posting on Facebook the way that I've taught them to do. And that is still not the thing that actually converts. All right. I was looking at someone's post, and someone was saying, "Don't sell you." So I saw this. Actually, let me see if I can find it, because that would be so awesome. There was this lady, right? Don't sell yourself. So I saw that in this post. And I don't know exactly what her point was, but she was saying, like, you shouldn't be selling yourself. You should be selling. You should be selling. You should be selling your service, right? And for me, that doesn't make any sense. I feel that you really do need to be selling you, and not selling you as in selling yourself out, right? So that's something completely different. It's about really, really selling, like being focusing all of your energy into being in integrity within yourself, right? Some people call that authenticity and all this other stuff. Like, I really feel that it's actually about owning all of the pieces of you. So the bad, the good, the ugly, the beautiful, the experience, the inexperience, the everything, like all of the pieces of yourself that you have actually rejected up until this point. When you're owning all of that, and you can actually, someone could ask you the most horrific thing. I had one of my coaches at one point tell me, what's the worst thing that someone could ever ask you about? And I remember telling them, and I was like, kind of a little bit like, wow, I really would not like to talk about that, right? What if that thing for you, that would bring you shame and guilt and a whole horde of problems in your life, just even facing what that would mean to you? What if you could actually own that? And if someone at one point asked you, you would just be like, yes, that happened, or yes, that's true, or yes, I believe that, or whatever it is, right? And you could actually own it to the point where you will have absolutely no emotional reaction, where it wouldn't be distracting you. So I remember, there have been a few instances, but I remember at the very beginning when I started working with signing people to my list, and I would have people, sign out, like, opt out or whatever for whatever reason. And I would just be taking it so personally, right? And there were other instances. So for example, someone that would be attacking the name of my program, or attacking is a little harsh. Well, that's what it felt like at the time. So I'm gonna keep the word attacking. So they were just saying, like, who the fuck does she think she is, like, or whatever the thing is, right? What if you could be going through your life without having any of those emotional reactions, because you actually own that piece within yourself, that you don't actually have to detract from yourself, feeling that you're a bad mom, detract from yourself feeling that you're a bad girlfriend, right? Detract from yourself feeling that you're a failure because your latest program didn't work, or you didn't sign up enough people, or you didn't meet your quota, or you didn't make your month, or whatever the deal is. And then you can actually use all the energy that you're using to hide those pieces of yourself, and actually use them to bring yourself the real results that you're looking for, right? And that's what it means to really be in that space of integrity, being fully immersed within yourself, feeling whole, that you don't actually have to feel like you have to make some sort of excuse for yourself for whatever situation you're in. You can just actually be, right? And in that space of being, it makes it so much easier for other people to actually really connect with you. When it comes to building a boutique business, especially a boutique business, right? Because that's what we're talking about here. Those sales come from connection. They come from connection. the best marketing strategy that you can have at any point is to be able to gift that connection to someone else, right? When you are in a conversation with someone like I am with you right now, right? Being able to just really express yourself fully, being able to see what is there for the other person and being present with them, like fully being yourself, that is very attractive. And the person on the other side that's seeing you can totally be like, yes, that's exactly what I want. That's the confidence that I want. That's who I want to be. That's how I want to sound. That's, that's it. And it's not like in replica of you. It's just in the energy of who you're being in that moment. And that's all the energy of integrity, really, because it has nothing to do with anything else. It just has to be with the fact that the more whole that you're showing up, the more you that you're showing up, the more connection that you're actually going to create with other people, right? So when you're in the sales conversation, when you're in the webinar, when you're in a networking event, when you're at, traveling for your business, when you're meeting your clients, when you're doing intensives, when you're doing anything in your business, right? Even from the smallest email that you could be writing, or the planning or anything, if you're being you, that's already creating a very, very unique energy. And that's the energy that you want to actually be pouring out, because that's what's going to be coming back in, right? The more that you pour out, fear and doubt and brokenness, right? One of the things that I tell my clients all the time is, hey, that whole thing with like healing yourself, I've done energetic healings, but I don't believe that I'm broken, right? It's just an energetic tool that I use for myself, right? The more that you're actually using those things as a way to heal something that's broken within you, actually, and even beyond that, the way that I do it is to get clarity on things, right? Because a lot of healing tools, so for example, family constellations, or even doing ayahuasca, is something that can really be helpful in terms of getting guidance and actually understanding yourself better, which is the whole goal here. So that revolves all around the wholeness too. And not feeding into the whole, oh, I'm broken, I need to fix myself, right? Or I need to heal myself. And whichever way you paint it, if the intention there is to fix something, right, that's broken within you, then that generally ends up leading to the place where it's pretty much sending you in the direction that you don't want to go, right? Because it's not really recognizing you as already whole. And that's the whole thing, right? That's the whole thing, right? From this place of wholeness, that's the only place that you can really be converting at the higher levels, right? So no sales page can do this for you. No super launch can do this for you. More than you can actually do it for yourself. And being that person, all of those other marketing strategies can work a million times better. So you're looking at a higher conversion rate than you could ever imagine, because when you're being whole and you're being you, and you're being the best that you can possibly be, that will actually create results for you. Okay, that's what immersion means to me anyways. All right, so let me just take a look and see if I see any questions. I don't know if my page is working. I feel there's something going on because my video is not showing up in the page. So I don't know if my page is working for whatever reason. So I don't think that I'm going to be doing questions then. So far, I don't see anybody. I don't know if this is actually going through because nobody commented back, and I'm seriously doubtful that there's nobody on the line. So I hope that you guys are seeing this. And in the Google page, it's like not working right now. So, okay, well, I guess we shall see. Okay, so I'm gonna go into the bonus, and this is really good because it's right at 45. Well, actually, let me talk about, I'm gonna talk about immersion real quick, and then I'm gonna share with you guys about the bonus. I'm gonna give you the questions for immersion, which I didn't want to do, or I didn't plan to do rather, because that's exactly what I do with my private clients. So this is really huge. Okay, so immersion. This is a space where you actually start resolving all of these huge underlying conflicts that you have for yourself. They're there. You know, you don't have to believe me. You just have to look at your results, right? Once you look at your results, you can actually see that there has to be something there that's actually causing the lack of flow. Look at it as big rocks in the middle of a river, right? And it's disrupting the flow of the water. Okay, if you put a big enough rock, it can become a dam, and then it can really stop completely the flow of the river. So this is the whole idea here. Okay, if you, excuse me, I need to drink. So the whole idea is you actually being in the space of feeling whole and resolving all of those conflicts and integrating all of the other pieces of yourself that you were actually rejecting. So if you were rejecting being a bad mom, for example, then it's about integrating that and seeing what are the pieces that you can actually own in being a bad mom that can actually help you, okay, with being a good mom. Or in whichever other area of your life, like, I don't know, right? And being in this space is what's actually going to create the difference for you. So immersion is really the solution to being in this space and being able to stay in it, because I feel that all of us have touched this space of feeling really like, oh my God, I own myself, you know, and you start getting really good results, and then things start flowing, and then all of a sudden things stop again. Right? We meet a limit, we meet another block, or we meet another level of the same block, right? Generally, that's the case. Like, we end up meeting the same blocks over and over again. It's just at a different level, especially when you're up leveling and you're going up. When you have something like a huge goal, like 20K months, that is generally one of the things that could happen, right? So the idea here is, how can you actually stay in this space? Okay, how can you actually start owning those pieces of yourself, and how can you stay there? How can you stay there so that you can actually be creating whatever result you want? This is the whole idea of, you know, I own this. Like, this is the let me see, how do I explain this? This is the idea of, okay, so I have this goal for 20K, and I can see what I need to do. And then, because you're in this space of immersion, you can actually follow your schedule. You can actually look at things without being emotional about them, and then being able to find solutions to problems that come up and things that show up. You can actually deal with your negative thoughts or negative situations or circumstances in your life, and you don't have to actually stop yourself, right? I feel that, I know I've done that many times where I'm in for a big goal and I end up doing a lot of destructive things to actually stop myself, right? So you don't have to go into that. The more that I'm in immersion, the less that I actually do any of that. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect, because I'm human, right? And the whole idea here is not to be perfect, but is to be in that space as much as possible so that you can then create the result that you want. Okay, if you're in that space within like 90% of the time, and you can, yeah, I feel like 90 is a really good 90 to 95%. You are totally good. And you can have your freakouts. Like, that doesn't mean anything. You can totally do that. And then you will have the tools to be able to come back into the space. That's the whole idea. So that is what immersion is. It's actually all the tools that you need, coming from the outside and the inside, right? So you have like the emotional, you have the thoughts, the mindset type of tools, and then you also have the strategic tools. So like, what are the actions? What is the marketing strategy? What are the things that I need to be doing on the outside to actually represent everything that I'm doing on the inside, so that I can, like, all the parts of me, like the 3D parts of me, are actually all heading in the right direction. Okay, so I am going to be opening up. Actually, I started to fill up quite a lot. I got a lot of clients within the last couple of months. So I am at almost full capacity, and I have about 5 clients left that I can take. So this is the time. This is the time, if you're really like, if you've resonated with some of my stuff, and if you're here, I know that you've resonated with my stuff, and you have read my posts, and you actually agree, and you can actually understand this idea of immersion and looking at the problem from a one angle perspective, rather than a 3-angle perspective, right? Like a full perspective. And also looking at how you actually, get yourself out of your little bubble, right? That you have created for yourself, and you keep spending more time outside of the bubble rather than inside, right? Or if you're really ready to become the marketing strategy, right? You being the marketing strategy that actually attracts the people to you, right? Without having to resort to huge things to do and being working all the time, because you know that this is the thing that will actually get your results, and immersion is the right place for you. I cannot even tell you the types of results that my clients are already getting. They are kicking ass, and this is actually the biggest, I don't want to say biggest, because it's not like in terms of like expansion. It is expansive, but it's not like in terms of big. It's just expansive. It's in like the power of this is huge compared to a lot of the things that I've done in the past, and I've already created really awesome results. So I'm bringing the best of all of that and then merging it with this, which has really created amazing results for me already. So I'm really, really excited. And beyond all of that, not just in terms of the income, but also in terms of like, who can you be to show up for your clients so that they could get the best results? Like, this is about creating a legacy of results throughout, like for their clients and their clients' clients, and however long it goes. And even beyond that, it's also about feeling fulfilled. One of the things that was happening to me towards the beginning of the year, I went really high. I had like a really, really awesome month in January. January and September tend to be like really amazing months in business. And I did really, really great. And I was super excited. And then I crashed. for a couple of months, and I was making like a really good income because I had clients that I was already seeing, but I wasn't getting new clients. And one of the reasons was because I just did not feel fulfilled anymore. The direction that I was going in my business didn't feel like me. And this is one of the reasons why I am actually really, really working towards the boutique business, because the boutique business is not just about the size and how you're handling the business. It also has to do with you, it being really a reflection of you, not just some thing that someone else thought up. This is really about bringing your business out from inside of you. If you already have a business, I just signed up a couple clients that have businesses that are not set up the way that they want to. They don't feel fulfilled. So who they're being in their business is something that actually does not feel good anymore. It feels like shit. And it's one of the things that was really holding me back at the beginning of this year, because I did not feel good anymore about my business. And I needed to create something completely different. So not super completely different, because I don't think that it's changed that much, but it's just the way that I'm looking at it and the focus that I have with it is centered around also feeling that fulfillment, feeling that excitement for my business that I wasn't feeling at the time. So it's a really, really big focus for me right now to really help you to create something that is that beautiful, okay, that awesome, that amazing. Because if you have that level of fulfillment and really feeling good within your business, and then all the other things that I mentioned, right? Who you're being, marketing yourself, right? And staying within your bubble so that you don't get affected by a lot of things that could be going on the outside, and you have all of your power, right? Really integrating all of the pieces of you. Magic. That's as close of a word that I could get to it. This is it. This is what actually works. So that said, I'm going to give you very quickly the process of my immersion process. This is a worksheet that I've actually created for my clients that they can actually use to integrate pieces of themselves that they've actually rejected. So the key here is actually looking at the pieces that you've actually rejected. Most people don't know what are the pieces that they've rejected. So that's actually what I'm going to be doing, because I just sent you an email. Well, if you signed up for this, then I sent you an email for whatchamacallit. What am I saying? Okay, I sent you an email with a link to sign up for a discovery session, so that you to see if you are one of the 5 clients that have 5 spots that I have left. That's all I have left. I don't have anything else right now. And if when we have a conversation, the goal would be to actually get to the bottom of what is your main conflict. Okay, what is the thing that you're not owning within yourself that's actually causing you these results that you have right now, right? So let's get to the immersion process. So the first thing that you want to do is to establish what is the reaction, the problem or reaction that caused a negative trigger in your emotions. Okay, so the first thing that generally happens is that you get triggered. There's something, or there's a problem, or something happened, right? So what is it? Okay, what is the thing that you're hiding or running away from? Okay, and then ask yourself who or what you're being or avoiding being when the situation is happening. So you want to get to a point where you're saying something like, I'm being a bitch, or I'm being selfish, or I'm being spoiled, or whatever the thing is. And those are the pieces that you haven't owned, right? About yourself. And then you want to look at all the places where you're being this thing. So where are you being bitchy or selfish or weak or whatever it is that you're not owning? Okay, how is it affecting your life, business, and goals? This would be more like the negative aspect of it. So what is the negative aspect of this thing? Okay, and then you want to look at all the places where you're rejecting being this thing, trying not to be it in your life and business, that it's causing the most harm. Okay, so the thing to keep in mind here is that the things that you create, that things that you reject, you tend to create more of. So an example would be like, say I try not to be selfish with my sister, right? So I end up babysitting for her, and then I end up not taking care of myself in the process, right? So I'm avoiding being selfish, and then I end up doing things that are actually more harmful. So perhaps it's not just harmful to me because I don't get to do the things that I need to do, but perhaps it's harmful to the child because my sister is being a bad mom and not taking care of him when she needs to. And perhaps it's also not teaching my sister the responsibilities so that she needs to learn. That's not my sister. My sister doesn't even have kids. But I'm just saying, like, this is an example of something that's very clear, like that you're rejecting being this. Like, where are you rejecting being this thing that is actually causing more of it, right? And more harm. And you want to determine, is this a reaction or a response? Are you reacting or responding to the situation, right? When these things are happening. Then you want to go into what is the side of being this thing that you can actually own. So what could be a good thing about being bitchy, right? Are there any situations where you can find within your life that you said, okay, I was bitchy here and it actually helped me? Okay, and how can that thing help you in your life, business, and with your goals? Because there's generally things within those energies that can actually be very helpful to you. Okay, and then you just want to say it out loud. Say, I am a bitch, right? And being able to really own all of it. Then you want to look at, who is the worst person imaginable that can call you this thing that will cause the biggest reaction in you. So say that the worst person to call me a bitch would be, I don't know, my boyfriend or something, right? So if he called me a bitch, it would really hurt my feelings and it would really trigger me. And then maybe I would go into like, no, I'm not a bitch, you're an asshole, right? Like something like that will cause actually a reaction within me. So who could be that person that if they called you this, right? Or for example, you could have a client called you inept, right? So you feel inept, and inept is the thing that you're trying to own about yourself, right? Who could be this person? Who could be the worst person that could call you inept? That you will have a reaction if you think about it now. And I want you to really, really feel into it and see like, okay, if they actually called you that, would you have a reaction? If you would have a reaction, it's that you didn't go deep enough with all of those things, right? So that means that you have to go deeper. And then when you go deeper, you actually clear more layers of this. Like, so go back to the questions and then like look at other places where you're being this thing and not owning it and all of that stuff, so that you can actually stop getting a reaction. I give an example of something that I'd owned that I'm totally lazy. So I gave an example to one of my clients, right? So I used to really reject being lazy because, like I was explaining at the beginning, I'm a hard worker, right? That's part of my personality. That's the persona. It's one of those things that I was owning about myself that I was attempting to be over and over and over. And I didn't own that I was lazy. So lazy showed up everywhere in my life and in my business and with my goals, right? The more that I actually disowned lazy, the more harm that it caused my business. So now that I'm actually owning lazy, I can actually create a business that's super lazy and then make me a shit ton of money, right? So how can you own that about yourself? Right? That it could actually help you. So I'm not creating some super complicated business. I'm creating a boutique business that really works with me, my style of work, making it as simple as possible with as little, steps as I could, making processes like this for my clients that they can actually reuse and help themselves, and then me help them more deeply. Like really being super lazy, right? And I'm lazy with my marketing as well. And it really helps because I can be super effective, right? The best part of my lazy is effective. So I'm not spending a lot of time like running my wheels all over the place. I'm just choosing to be effective, to be super lazy and effective at the same time, right? So that's just a very quick example so that you can kind of tell like how that works, okay? And again, if you're choosing to sign up for a session, then I would actually go through one of your things through this process with you. Because I feel that by you actually releasing that conflict and owning those pieces of yourself, you can actually create major results. And that's what I'm here for. Okay. So the last thing that I wanted to tell you today is I wanted to share with you the top conflict plaguing women, entrepreneurs in general, and my super simple solution on how to get over it. Okay, so the main thing that I feel are plaguing women is worthiness. Okay, so this is a major conflict that women have, right? So the worthiness to receive, and then they have the desire to receive, and then they feel unworthy of receiving the thing that they're asking for and they're working hard for, right? So for me, before I was making 10K and 20K or whatever, I felt unworthy of it. And I was like, well, who am I to charge this much, right? Or I would say things like, in my head, like this is all conversations that will happen inside of my head, where I would say things like, what if I don't deliver? What if my program isn't worth it? And all this other stuff, even though I had the results that showed that it clearly was. So that's pretty much like the idea behind that, right? That's what I've been seeing over and over. And it's just this idea that desiring more for whatever reason is wrong. So the idea behind that for me, or the way that I've actually helped women get over this so that they can actually own more for themselves and be able to call more in, and then be able to receive more, to actually have it in their cash in cash in their bank accounts, is it's integrating this piece of themselves that they feel unworthy. Okay, so if you take your unworthy through the process that I just shared with you and take it through all of those questions and seeing how this really is playing in your life, you can totally expand into receiving a hell of a lot more than you are right now. I cannot tell you how much I've created in my business by really owning this piece of myself. In fact, at the very beginning of the year, well, actually at the end of last year, I did a ceremony. It was like a shamanic session where the main theme for me was, in my brain, like all the images and everything that was showing up for me was all revolving around worthiness. You're worth it, get over it. That was pretty much the message that I got from the universe. And I've had to own unworthy in order to be worthy, right? So it's not about healing that. It's not about rejecting that. It's actually about owning it. Owning the unworthy parts of me has allowed me to make a lot more income. So I'm giving that to you as a bonus. And I hope that you guys appreciate that. Definitely look at doing this process, because it really will be, it could be a life changer for you. Like I can't even tell you what my clients are experiencing by actually doing these processes with me together. So I cannot wait to hear what happens with you. And for those of you that want to sign up for a discovery session, then you have the opportunity to do this with me. So I'm going to do it with you so that you can have a real experience of transformation in the call, so that you can then choose whether you want to come into immersion with us or not, and experience and not just do this in one tiny area of your life, but actually have all of the areas of your life represent who you really are, your worthiness, and then use that as a way to create whatever it is that you want in your life, because it is all available. So that is all that I have for today. I can't wait to be talking to you guys, and I can't wait to see you guys soon. I'm sending you all my love. Bye.